Two of them weighed 130 pounds. The third wasn't far behind. One newborn who couldn't hold his own head up yet, and a doorbell camera that recorded something at 2:47 in the morning that nobody living in that house had any idea was going on, night after night, for almost 6 months without a single break. If the recordings weren't sitting on a hard drive, Marcus knows exactly how the story would sound. Made up, exaggerated. But the footage is real, and he has watched it more times than he can count. Marcus never hid where the dogs ranked in his life. They came before the couch he never replaced, before the spare bedroom sat empty for 2 years. Onyx, Bear, and Cash had been his for 4 winters by the time Eli arrived. 3 Cane Corsos, dark as wet asphalt, built like something you would expect to see guarding a gate rather than sleeping on a kitchen floor. People were scared of them, and he understood why. The mailman started leaving packages at the end of the driveway and texting Marcus a photo instead of walking up. A woman who lived 2 doors down told another neighbor, plenty loud enough for Marcus to catch it, that bringing an infant into a home like that was reckless. He heard every word. He said nothing back. He already understood what she couldn't. Onyx was the oldest and the largest, and he carried himself like the room belonged to him. He rarely made noise. When he did, you felt it in your teeth. But when Marcus was home, Onyx shadowed him from room to room, calm in a way that had nothing to do with obedience. Bear was the middle one, lighter on his feet, wired to the world through his tail. Every evening he met Marcus at the door like the man had been away at sea for a year. No audience for it, just what he felt, all 120-some pounds of it. Cash was the youngest, and he was the watcher. Where the others reacted, Cash studied. He tracked the front window and the face of anyone who came through the door. Whatever moved through that house, Cash clocked it before it finished happening. When Renee sat Marcus down and told him she was pregnant, the joy hit first and the dogs hit second. Not worry exactly. More like an awareness that the whole arrangement of the house was about to change, and the animals who ruled it needed bringing along with care. So he prepared for months. He sharpened their old commands until they were crisp again. Boundaries went up around the room that would become the nursery. He played recordings of a baby crying, faint at first and a little louder each week until the sound stopped registering as an alarm. He rubbed lotion and baby wash on his hands before every session so the smell arrived in their world before the child did. His trainer told him he was overdoing it. Marcus told him that was the point. Anybody out there raising big dogs around little kids? I want to hear how it actually went for you. Leave it below. Eli came home on a gray Sunday in November, 3 weeks ahead of schedule. 5 pounds and 11 ounces of him. Marcus carried the car seat over the threshold, like it held something that might shatter if he breathed wrong. Her mother had been at the house keeping the dogs settled and swore they'd been parked at the front door for an hour, not moving. Onyx rose first. He crossed the floor slow, lowered that enormous head to the edge of the blanket, and breathed the baby in for a long, quiet moment. Then he backed away and sat. Bear repeated it almost exactly. Cash never came close. He looked at Eli from across the room, then stood, crossed to the mouth of the hallway, and lay down facing the nursery door. Marcus caught Renee's eye. Neither of them found anything to say. They kept it cautious that first stretch. No dog alone with the baby. A closed door between them at night. But somewhere around the second week, the caution started feeling unnecessary because the dogs had already sorted out their own rules. Wherever Eli was set down, they arranged themselves around him, not hovering, positioned. Eli and his bouncer by the counter, one dog at each side, one at the doorway. Eli on the floor blanket, same shape in a different room. Marcus started calling it their post. Renee just watched it and didn't try to name it at all. The camera went up later and it had nothing to do with the dogs. A house on the next block got broken into, and Marcus wanted eyes on the front entry and the hall. For weeks, the recordings were nothing but empty rooms and the odd trip to the fridge. Then one night, he was scrubbing through old clips, half asleep, and something stopped his hand. 2:47 a.m. He backed it up and watched it again. Then he woke Renee. Every night, the same time almost to the minute, Onyx got up from his place near the nursery. He walked the length of the hall to the front door and stood there, ears working, for the better part of a minute. Then to the window over the sink for a look out into the dark yard. Then back down the hall, a pause at the nursery door long enough to see the crib, and back to his spot. Once he settled, Bear rose and ran the whole loop again in his own rhythm. And when Bear was done, Cash took the last round, slower than either of them, standing in the nursery doorway a good while longer, watching the small shape breathe under the blanket. 3 animals, 3 passes. Every single night, while the house slept and the baby slept, and nobody upstairs had the faintest clue it was happening. They had assigned themselves a job. Marcus sat at the counter the next morning with his coffee going cold and played it back until he lost track of how many times. Then he shut the laptop and looked at the 3 of them stretched out and dozing in the hall, resting up between shifts they never once skipped. Ever caught your dog doing something that stopped you cold? Tell me about it down below. Eli is 9 months old now. He shrieks with laughter when Bear's tail thumps the floor beside him. He grabs at Onyx's jowls with both fists every single morning, and Onyx just freezes and lets the boy do it. Cash still takes his post outside the nursery when the lights go out. Marcus checked again a few nights back, 2:47 on the dot, and there he was, on duty. The woman down the street who called it reckless knocked on the door a few weeks ago. She saw Eli on the floor blanket, ringed by 3 enormous dark dogs, giggling at absolutely nothing. She was quiet for a second. Then she said she'd had them all wrong. Marcus told her most people do. Some dogs don't wait for the command. They look at what matters, and they decide. And then they keep deciding it every night without anybody asking or thanking them for it. Onyx, Bear, and Cash made their call the night Eli crossed that threshold. They have made it again at 2:47 every morning since. So here's the honest question. Would you leave your newborn in a room with 330-pound Cane Corsos and sleep easy, or would part of you lie awake? Tell me the truth down below.